Hello and welcome to the Furreal podcast, the show that discusses music, film, and most importantly, fairies. I'm your host Matthew, also known as Matty Feels Rough, and for the third episode today, I've got Nanode, who is a music producer and also a fairy. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I feel like since I'm British, I pronounce it differently. How do you pronounce your music name?
Oh yeah, you would not imagine the amount of times it's been like butchered horribly. Like Nanode, Nanode I hear a lot and I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I pronounce it Nanode.
Nanode.
But like people have come up to me and been like, "Oh my god, Nanode." And I'm like,
nah.
Like,
Okay. That's okay, I was not that bad, to be fair. That is bad.
Yeah, it's like but like it's the little things,
It reminds me of rapper Amine. He like made an entire song on his his debut album on like how people mispronounce his artist name as like Amine or Anime or Anamina. Like it's dumb as fuck. It's Amine.
I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those. What was the album that Amine? I'm like looking in my.
It's the one that he's like sat on the toilet, bro. That's like the.
I think that was like the first one that I was. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, it's Emine, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. I was exactly the same. Anyway, how's your day been so far?
Day's been pretty okay. I've been I basically just woke up, kind of did a little bit of housekeeping work because I got work tomorrow morning, but then I hopped into Ableton, was working on some stuff because I'm working on like a whole studio album. I'm gonna kind of shop it around once it's done, but it's like it's at that 75% mark where like you're working on something and you can see the end in sight, but it's that last 10% that feels like 90% of the work. So like you know that part's coming. I'm dreading it a little, but so far it's been a fun project. It's stuff that I haven't really heard a lot of people doing, and I don't say that to toot my own horn. Like I really haven't heard that much stuff except for like maybe like Jane Remover. Woozy is a really good example of like a lot of the stuff, but like super crunchy, super I don't know. I'm gonna put it out just because I want it to be out, but it's one of those records where you kind of make it because you really want to hear something like it, and as it's been unfolding, it's been like I would put this into rotation, like listening rotation on like long car rides and stuff like that.
But I feel like that's always the best way to make stuff. When you want to make something just based on the fact that you want to release something that you feel like really encapsulates what you want to make and what you want to show that is unique to other people's work, I think it like, I guess it drives you. It's what drives me to do more stuff anyway. But I'm like the worst when it comes to percentages of like things done, especially when I used to do edits like back in the day when I did loads of like shitty little AMVs. I would edit them like 80% done, and then I would just stop making them. I just don't know why. I would just like give up. So don't give up and release it so I can fucking listen to what you're gonna bring out, please.
100%. I mean, like the thing that really fascinates me with like the whole idea of like, I don't know, when I think about artists interacting with their own work, it feels like there's this kind of like stigma between artists that like if you're really digging your own stuff, you're kind of like narcissistic. Yeah. But I think that's like that's a wrong way to kind of look at it. If you're not like proud of your own work enough to like be able to be like, I'm gonna listen to this like as much as the stuff that I love are listening to already. Like I feel like it, because it often comes down to people asking themselves like, is this cool? Like are people going to think this is cool? And it's a really hard mindset to switch from that to like, what's cool to me? Does this sound cool to me? Because like, if you think about a lot of the artists that have like really been like influential in their own fields, in their own mediums, you really get a sense that they're really just doing it for themselves. Yeah. They don't really care about what other people are thinking. And I know like 10 billion people give the same kind of like speech of like, oh, do what you want, like it's like, listen, follow your heart, be yourself, like, but it's really just a case of being able to step back and separate yourself from like outside stimuli and be like, no, like this is cool, and like if people don't think it's cool, like that's fine, I think it's cool and I'm just gonna roll with it. A lot of art movements really like a lot of art movements and like underground scenes like really got born out of that mindset of like people thinking like, oh, this thing that you're doing is weird, but then kind of like creating a community around people that just like really like that one thing. And it's like strength in numbers. The more people that you have kind of around you that are like encouraging of that, like the more it can build up that self-esteem. And even just in your own stuff that you're doing, like you just have to kind of think about like, I know this is cool to me, I'm just gonna keep doing it. It's just like creating that habit.
And I think it's a good artist is always someone who has a good balance of self-confidence and self-criticism as well, because you can always improve on what you do, but it's also important to kind of be proud of what you make, because it isn't easy in what you do, you know, whatever kind of art you create.
No, absolutely. I mean, like being self-critical is like it's something that a lot of people, at least like a lot of the like artist friends that I have like really struggle with, is just being able to step back and like be like, this is fine. Like I'm very much a perfectionist with a lot of the stuff that I make. I feel like my output would be like 10 times more than it already is, which is already a lot. Like this year alone, I released what was it, like 2 albums and I think like 7 singles.
It's crazy. I'm
over the course
of
like 6 months.
I'm scrolling through your Bandcamp right now. It's crazy.
That's not even my only Bandcamp too. It's
really?
Like,
okay.
It's like, yeah, I like when I was growing up, like in high school, like I started making music when I was in like freshman year of high school. I would just be in like comp sci class, and I downloaded Fami Tracker and Sunvox, which are Fami Tracker is like a NES like kind of emulation software tracker. You could use a lot of different sound chips. The ones that are like used the most are like the VRC6 chip and the 2A03 chip. I mostly did stuff with the 2A03 just because I really like limiting myself.
I wish I knew more about music so I could be like, that's that chip better than this chip. Also, I love how usually when I've done podcast episodes, we'll talk about like how the day's been, and then I'll be like, okay, so, you know, just go on and what you do. But we're like straight fucking into it. I asked you how your day was, and we're just straight into this fucking music production shit, and I'm loving it. Keep going.
Gotta go on that flow state. I mean, like, and kind of touching on what you said about like, you know, not understanding like music jargon and stuff like that. I find like that's where a lot of the magic comes in. There's certainly like magic in like a lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently has been like reading research papers about like audio science. More specifically, I've been looking into how stereo encoders and messing with DC offset, which is, if you know, you know. But I like messing with how stereo encoders kind of process signals and kind of changing how things interact with each other in the stereo field, and just reading like studies and papers about it, or just like reading books. One of the ones that I've been reading recently has been Micro Sounds by Curtis Rhodes, which kind of talks about like, you know, looking at music and sound in the context of time, all the way down from like imperceivable like segments of time to like the human ear.
That's crazy.
All the way to like the life of the universe, and contextualizing music within that kind of space. It sounds very heady, and like I took 3 tabs of acid like when I say it, but like you read that book and like, especially if like it, even as a listener, it might be an interesting read, but like, especially as an artist, like you delve into it and it's like, oh, I've maybe thought about this, but not to this level.
No, I get
and
that.
like
Yeah,
you're one chapter in and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck? But like when you're thinking about, when you're a listener just listening to something and you don't know that much about it, I think that that's where a lot of the magic with music lies. There's certainly a lot of magic when like you're making it.
Yeah.
Like when you come across that thing that's like, okay, this is special. Like I really want to run with this. Which I know like is an emotion that every artist feels on some level. And if they're not, gotta switch up something, you know, that's like the whole reason we make it.
It's about knowing like what stands out and what you know is going to make or contribute to what is essentially going to be what you want people to hear out of your art, if you know what I mean. Like, is this going to achieve what I have envisioned, or am I going to have to research or do something more to end up being happy? Because there's no point not being happy with what you're producing, you know? You've got to make sure you,
for sure.
You know, you got to make sure you make what you want to make.
Yeah, I think also a big component is not necessarily, I respect artists a lot that are able to have a set vision before they even like look at the canvas, like look at a blank canvas or open a DAW or like take out their camera, right? I respect that a lot. But I think where a lot of where that magic happens is being able to get into a flow state where it kind of unfolds as it goes. It's a lot like, because especially when I think of music, and I know this translates to other mediums of art, but especially for music, for me, it's one of those mediums where you hear, somebody can like tell the lyrics to you, like somebody can like spoken word the lyrics to you, but they're not going to hit as hard as somebody like, for instance, like singing them over like a backtrack. Like it like the entire context of what somebody's saying can change based on the notes they're playing, the timbre of each sound, how fast the song is, how sparse the instrumentation is. Like there's a lot that goes into being able to convey an emotion through music.
No, I totally get that.
And that's where I find a lot of the magic to be, especially as a listener. Just for more creative types who are like deep in it, we're like, how did they do that? And this is like, and how are they giving me goosebumps right now? But I feel like the best place to be listening to music is in a place of, this makes me feel this type of way, and it's special to me for that reason. And because when you're listening to music that really speaks to you, you're kind of connecting to your own emotions. You're connecting to your own lived experience. You might link that song to an event you were at, or like a friend you were talking with when you heard it at the time. I know, at least for me, when I'm listening to music, like when I'm driving down the road, there's some albums for me that when I know I'm going on a road trip and I'm going to be going down a specific stretch of road, I can't not listen to that record because it's just burned in my memory. Like there's like, I would be on long drives with my dad back home, and I would listen to Bob Dylan with him like all the time. I'd listen to Blood on the Tracks, which is still like it's a really influential record to me. But it creates a feeling that I can't put into words because it's my experience. Even though like somebody can hear the same exact song that I'm hearing, and it could have an entirely different meaning.
Dog, trust me,
it could have a negative connotation. It could be a very positive experience. Like it could be very melancholic. And it all depends on the context.
My fucking smile is like, I'm beaming right now because I know exactly what you're on about. Because oh my god, I don't even know where I start. So I mean, I wrote my dissertation for university, even though it's film, based on audience interpretation of otherness in film. And it's this idea that there are characters in film that don't canonically have an identity or isn't outright spoken what they are or how they identify as, but the filmmaker has given the opportunity for people who are in kind of have identities that stray from a heteronormative society, kind of give them an opportunity to identify. I've like explained it really shitly, but for example, I talk about Ash from Fantastic Mr. Fox and how it isn't said that he is on the spectrum or he is queer in the film, but it's this idea that he's different, and the society that is in Fantastic Mr. Fox is a standard heteronormative society where his dad is, you know, a typical like heteronormative masculine man who has to prove his masculinity by, you know, stealing chickens and being the everyday kind of family man. And his son wants to be like him. He wants to be treated the same way, but he wants to just be like his dad. He says he wants to be an athlete, which is to him being cis or being, you know, heterosexual and being masculine, but he isn't that. But the film eventually, during, you know, the second half, kind of says it's okay to be different and it is good to embrace your differences. And even though it isn't outright said in the film that he is, you know, on the spectrum or he is, you know, queer, there are kind of elements that the audience who may feel like Ash is, identification for them can kind of relate and apply their own personal interpretations to that character. So it's that exactly the same with film, and I understand with music as well. It's funny you bring up like that experience with your dad and Bob Dylan, because my favorite album of all time, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, I listened to that. I started listening to it because my dad introduced me to it, and he used to always put it on the CD in the car. And there's this one road near where I live where it's like one of the last roads you drive, and it's a very long road before you get to my house. And I just that whenever we drive along that road now, I just think of Pet Sounds and I'm putting the CD on the car. So I I totally get you. And I mean, it's the same. I was talking about on the last podcast episode about EP by the Japanese House, Pools to Bathe in. And me and the guest Jess, we were talking about how associating kind of different tracks with different emotions. And we talked about how that EP for her, she's listened to that record and gone through so many emotions that represents like a spectrum of experiences for her. And I was saying I'm exactly the same with Blonde by Frank Ocean, which is like a typical skater alt response, but like I'm being genuine. Yeah. I have went through I've listened to Blonde when I've went through breakups. I've listened to Blonde when I've went through moving to a new place. I've listened to Blonde when I've started like falling in love with someone. It's like all of these things that just like I associate Blonde with. But I guess I just associate Blonde with just like my life. And I mean, I'm not like trying to suck it off too much. It's not my favorite album of all time, but it's up there. And I think it's because I've went through so many experiences with that piece of work, and I interpret it with the emotions that I experience. And again, it is really interesting, isn't, you know, as music, how do we kind of, how do we associate pieces of work that somebody else has made so personally with our lives? It's like so interesting. And my question to you as a kind of music producer, do you find that the spectrum of, or the diversity of interpretation is daunting to you in terms of, I mean, not on a base level of like opinions on if it sounds good or if it doesn't sound good, more interpretations on, is there ever a kind of way that you want your music to be interpreted, or do you like the idea of it being vast and being open for other people to interpret how they want to interpret your music?
I think that whenever you're putting anything out into the open, whether it is like an opinion, a piece, a statement, you're taking the privacy away from that, if that makes sense. I think that you're allowing other people to judge your work. You're giving people not explicit permission, but you're putting something out there for other people to hear. And you can craft an experience very, very precisely, but not every person is going to come away with the same exact reaction, with the same exact experience and the same exact emotion attached to it.
And you need to be prepared to like accept that, I think, as an artist, if you want to release your things. I think
100%. I think like in any like, because even like talking about like I like to relate art to a lot of like the human condition when I'm talking about it, which I know is like can be read as a little pretentious, but and getting into Kanye West territory of like being crazy. But I look at art as a conversation and as a social dynamic. In the same way that like, you know, you can present yourself however you want, but like some people aren't going to like it and some people are going to love it. Like some people are going to be like so stoked on you, right? And some other people are going to be like, I literally hate this person with all of my heart. And like that's like art can elicit the same emotional responses, and you never know who's going to react that way. You know, like you can maybe make a good guess, but like, and you can try and make something that you think a lot of people will like, but it's not guaranteed it's going to be that way.
And at that point, like, are you really making what you want to make if you're just wanting to make it for the validation of a mainstream market or the validation of peers? It isn't. You got to do what you want to do. And I think true happiness is achieved from being yourself and having your own identity rather than trying to conform to whatever can guarantee a certain level of success or a certain level of kind of acceptance. But I don't know, somebody will use that as an analogy for being queer, and that's based, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. But yeah,
100%. I mean, like a very good example of that, one that I at least think a lot about, which I know this is going to sound like me jacking myself off or whatever, but one of my friends was I'm not going to say who because you know, I don't want to like out them or anything. Yeah. But one of my friends was backstage with the Chainsmokers at the end of one of their gigs. I forget exactly how they got there, but they were just talking to them and kind of like brought up the elephant in the room, at least like with like art direction. They were like, why make this kind of music? Like, why make this kind of like mass appeal music? And they're like, oh, we literally just do this shit for the check, but like we actually make music that like we really like here. And then they pull up SoundCloud and they show like these like really like these accounts with like 200 followers that like, this is me. And it's like experimental noise music and shit like that. Like there's something to be said there about like the industry kind of like rewards this kind of music being made, which is true to an extent, and especially if you look at like the whole like culture of like TikTok music marketing and art marketing. That's like a whole rabbit hole that we can get into.
Insane.
But like,
it's insane. It's like this thing of like, I mean, this is going to be my pretentious cunt moment, but it's like, I think it's just absolutely just I can't put into words how insane it is that a kind of platform like that can affect streams and can affect the industry to that extent, like a significance. Have you seen that recently artists are releasing like sped up versions of their songs because that is the stuff that is on TikTok and they'll get streams from the sped up version? It's literally Gen Z Nightcore. It's fucking crazy. I'm just like in my head. And then I'm a massive Steve Lacy fan, like insane Steve Lacy fan. And I was talking to my girlfriend about this. I was like, oh, I mean, I don't give a shit when people discover people because like I'm happy that Steve Lacy's getting a lot of recognition now. But you know, I've been on that Steve Lacy shit since, I mean, I went to go see The Internet when I was like 17, 18 in London. And, you know, I've been listening to Steve Lacy like for so long, since like, you know, 2018. And now, you know, I listened to Gemini Rights when it came out, absolutely loved it. This is before I deleted TikTok. I talked about in the last episode about how I did not like TikTok and I deleted it. And, you know, I had no idea that, you know, Bad Habit became a TikTok song. And then when I re-downloaded TikTok, I was like, oh shit. And then I checked Steve Lacy, and now he's in like the top 20 most listened to artists of all time on Spotify. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's crazy. I mean, how TikTok controls shit like that. It's just insane.
I mean, a lot of it, it makes sense to me, at least looking at it from the perspective of, human beings are going to react to like really flashy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And especially like the reason why a lot of marketing tactics are just used over and over and over again is because they scientifically work. And especially like in the case of like TikTok, you know, it is literally an example of, and there's been like studies of this. I can't like cite them off the top of my head, but there's like scientific studies done that like show that the attention span of the average person is going down.
Oh, definitely.
And it's all kind of correlated with the rise of like social media and specifically these kinds of platforms where it is encouraged to be consuming these small little pieces of media and just move on to the next thing as soon as possible. One of the big places that I really see that happening is TikTok, and especially like you'll look at the charts and it'll feel like as you're kind of immersing yourself in that platform, you kind of you think that like things are moving much slower than they actually are.
Yeah.
Like you'll be consuming all of this content and you'll think like, man, this was like a crazy month for music. And then you'll look at the calendar and it's like, wait, it's only been like 5 days. Like like, and people will like
because
be like,
it's
oh,
constant.
This is a classic album, and it's only been out like 3 days.
Oh my god, literally!
Like,
I saw this fucking TikTok that was like, "What is the greatest album of all time?" And this fucking girl goes, "Gemini Rights," and I'm like, "Gemini Rights came out fucking 3 months ago, dickhead." What are you talking about?
Like,
I was it's just so frustrating.
There's definitely pieces it like works where you can kind of step back and be like, this could probably be in contention for that. Like one of the records that I've been listening to recently, Rock Marciano and The Alchemist put out an album called The Elephant Man's Foot,
which is what we're going to be talking about.
So, yes. Yeah. No, it's we'll obviously get to it, but like that record in and of itself kind of brings me back to a lot of where like Mad Villainy was kind of aiming at, where MF Doom and Madlib were kind of on things. And I think it's just it like works like that are like really a culmination of that kind of stuff. But I digress. We're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah.
But you know that's come out like maybe I think that was like a month or so ago, and people are already like, this is like the best album that like I've ever heard. And it's like, are you saying that because like it's popular right now, or are you saying that because you genuinely believe it?
I think stan culture as well. It's like stan culture is just fucked. It's just like, this is the best thing ever created, and it's just like, it isn't. Just like, stop fucking dick riding, bro. Like, it's just get a grip. Yeah, calm down.
I mean, people generally don't want to be alienated from each other.
Yeah.
So when people kind of get on the mentality of like, oh, like like when everybody is like, oh, I really like this, people have the tendency to jump on that because they don't want to be like the not cool one who doesn't like it. You know what I mean? I've definitely, and like I say that because I've definitely been there where for the longest time I would just kind of like, I'd be like, oh, am I like into what's cool right now? Like, am I on the wave? But, you know, you don't need to be on the wave to enjoy things. And you don't need to be on the wave to like get approval from people if that's what you're looking for. And even then, you don't really need approval from other people. Like, I think having the self-esteem to be okay with yourself and be okay with what you like and be okay with like who you are is way more important than like being hip and being with the shit.
100%.
Especially if you're in the art field. Like, you want to be channeling you.
Because then you're gonna make better shit. You're gonna make better stuff that is more you. And that's what you want to achieve, and that's what makes you successful. You need stuff that makes you stand out and represents what you want to make, or else you're not going to enjoy it as well.
Exactly. No, you gotta roll with the punches. You just have to do what feels right.
Yeah. Let's talk about your shit, because I was listening to it and I fucking loved it. And I feel like
Thank you.
yeah, I feel like a lot of the tracks like kind of differentiated in style and kind of genre, I guess. I don't know. The recent stuff that you brought out, the XND stuff, that felt really like jungle kind of beats or like drum and bass, and I fucking love that. Like absolutely adore jungle. It's one of my favorite like
Thank you so much.
kind of genres, and I really really liked it. I was there like I pressed play on it and I was like okay, and I was feeling like it was this morning because I was trying to get me my coffee and I was there like holy shit, I was just like vibing with it. I fucking loved it so much. So I don't know if you want to go through like kind of your process in music and how long you've been making stuff for, and just go through whatever you want to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when I'm making a piece, it's usually a lot of these ideas come to me like spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like in the case of Moab, I I was literally in Moab, Utah. Um
Mm.
and it's such this it, it's such a striking place. I really don't know how to put it into words other than it really gives you a sense of scale of like how big you are,
Yeah.
or how small you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's like a serenity to that, and like especially the way that like the wind kind of moves through those canyons is like really it creates a feeling that like I've never felt before.
Yeah.
And I basically just like pulled over to the side of the road, got out my laptop, and I just like made like an ambient sketch, which is the AMB Moab, which is like the second half of that single.
Mm-hmm.
But I I just kind of like I made that in like 30 minutes, and like totally flow state, like this is how I'm feeling, kind of picked out the sounds that I really liked at the time, and I kind of just rolled with it. The breakcore version is actually like a remix
Oh, okay.
of it. I like I think it was like 2 weeks before release. I literally just got up one morning and it occurred to me that like I could like I'm hearing drums over this. Like I'm hearing some stuff over this, and I had been listening to the latest Acid Disc um entry that G Jones and EPROM had,
Mm-hmm.
Acid Disc 2, and I was kind of thinking like this needs some breaks. This needs some breaks over it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling right now, and I just sat down, sped it up, did some chops, and kind of broke it up. That's like the process for that track, but it really translates to a lot of my other work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of have this like one little idea and I'll get stuck on it. And not in necessarily a bad way. Sometimes I will just like get stuck on something. Like I probably have like I could look on my hard drive right now, but
It's like do you get like
if
tunnel
I had to
vision?
guess, definitely tunnel vision. I
Yeah.
mean, like a lot of it, like if I just like pull this up right now, how many items are in this folder? There is, wow, there is like 2,000 projects
Jesus
in
Christ.
my projects folder. Um, those are all just like 8-bar ideas that I'm like feeling at the time. Some of them are like hot garbage. Some of them have potential. Some of them will like get almost fleshed out into full tracks, but
Mm-hmm.
won't quite be there. Some of them I'll just like make on the spot and I'll be like, no, I'm feeling this. Like, I'm going to go for this. And I'll just like complete it in a few days. Some of them take like months to complete. Like some of the tracks on like the album that I'm working on right now, they've been in the pipeline for, I want to say like 3 years now. And sometimes it's a case of like not knowing quite how to finesse it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a case of just like, I haven't touched this in 3 years, but for some reason I like thought about it today and
Yeah.
I should really open it up. And sometimes it's a case of like, I see where I was going, but I don't really like this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to like export it and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
like resample this and basically remix my own song. I think being able to interact with your sounds and take an ownership over
Mm-hmm.
them is like something that's really key, especially for me. One of the things that I really kind of tried to challenge recently, both like listeners and also myself,
Yeah.
has been trying to create a consistent sound um, that transcends genre.
Okay.
Like one of the things that I really pay a lot of attention to in my work is when somebody hears like Moab and then goes over to Run It Up, or then
Yeah.
goes over to Closer, which are those are a few of the recent singles that
I
I put
love
out.
the one bass that you named it
Oh
that.
yeah,
You named
people.
it that because of the guy you sampled
Yeah,
saying,
I could not think of a name for it, and I was just like, Boss sounds cool,
I
and then I
love
just
it.
did it, and like it like the whole like that whole project itself was a flow state. I literally just sat down one day at my computer and I was like, what if jungle was like also dubstep? And like I just had that bass rip like in the middle, the
Yeah,
wow, like kind of like a growl, and I just ran with it.
I love it.
That song probably took me genuinely, I think that song took me like 3 hours to make.
What? What
And
the
like
fuck?
people like really, really liked it. I mean, it's crazy. Like like people will like it, like will put so much heart and soul into like a piece of art. And then it's always like,
No, I know
it fascinates me
exactly.
every time where it's
Literally,
always the one thing where people are just kind of like, I'm just gonna like throw this together, and like people are like, this is amazing,
no,
I love this,
yeah.
and I'm like, I literally just spent like 2.5 hours on this, just
Is
like throwing stuff
exactly it.
together, and like I exported it, like
So
that's all I did.
when I did my fucking edits, when I did my fucking AMV edits, I would like some of them. I would spend so much time like perfecting the graphs in the easy ease frames to make sure all the transitions were smooth. There's this one I did that like was like a vent edit that I did when I was like 17. I had like a shit day, and it was like a AMV to hide it from a Gretzko, and I made it in like an hour, and then uploaded it to YouTube, and I got like 2,000 views, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Which isn't like obviously a lot, but like compared to my other stuff, like an edit that I spent loads of time on would get like 50 views, and the other one, this one got like 2,000 views, and I like did the bare minimum. I just did it because I wanted to de-stress and do something I enjoyed doing. Quickly made it, and people were like, "This is incredible," and I'm like, "It's really sloppy." I don't know why. Like I was like, "What?" It was crazy. It's just
Yeah,
crazy. No, it's
it's
like, I get that definitely.
always, yeah, you can never it like, and it just goes to show you can never guess what people are gonna think is cool. So just like
Mhm.
do what you think is cool.
Yeah,
Like you can never like you can like I've tried highly engineering songs that I think that people would like because like, oh, I'm like doing this little kind of breaky fill or whatever, and like people generally tend to like the kind of music that like this associates with, but I
hmm
always do that and it never works because I'm trying so hard to be somebody that I'm not.
yeah,
But like especially with like a lot of the recent stuff that I've been making, there's definitely times where I'd like channel artists that I really admire, like
hmm
Aphex Twin, One Oh Tricks Point Never,
yes,
and I'll kind of like internalize a lot of their like, at least in One Oh Tricks kind of territory. I'll like get into a flow state of like looping things,
hmm
um, creating a solid loop that like gives me an emotion, and I'll kind of work out from there.
yeah.
And then I'll think like, Aphex Twin is like huge on kind
I
of creating
fucking
these
love Apex
large
Twin.
soundscapes with like variation to them, and even with their selected ambient works stuff,
hmm
you do kind of like get a little bit of that flow state. Um,
I literally love that record
just
so much. I've got it on vinyl. I just fucking love it. It's so
it's
good.
so beautiful. It's such a beautiful record. That that's like mostly where I approach it,
hmm
is just trying to get into a flow state and trying to sound like myself, and
Yeah,
not even trying like the thing that I used to trip myself up on all the time is like, what do I like I gotta be unique, I gotta try to be unique,
yeah.
but like you're your own person, you don't have
hmm
to try being you. So I just like stopped trying and I made better stuff, I guess. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean just like you just stop. Well, I I genuinely, there will be like weeks where I don't even open a DAW. There'll be weeks where I like don't even touch Photoshop. Like I think for the last like 2 weeks I like didn't even open them. I like played a show at an
hmm
underground rave in Portland, and like
That
I opened up
rocks.
Record Box for that. But like I just didn't do anything. And like there's definitely like, if you're if you're like doing work for somebody, or like you're trying to get something done, you
Yeah.
have to like get yourself to do it, right? But I think a huge thing, especially like when it's not something that like your livelihood is really depending on, you really don't need to like force yourself.
Yeah. And you shouldn't force yourself, because it's like you're not gonna make something you're proud of, and you're not gonna make something you enjoy doing. And I feel like we both sound like fucking broken records, but it is that it's just so important. And I think it's exactly what's on about the podcast. It's like I could have done it in my final year uni whilst I was doing my dissertation and whilst I was making my final year film, but I wouldn't have put as much effort in, you know, kind of passion into it, because I didn't have the time to do it. But now that I have the opportunity to do it, and my mind was not in the right place either. You know, I've been graduated for a few months. I needed time to settle as well, and my mind wasn't in the right place. But now it is, and I know I can make it to the best it can be, and how I want it to be perceived by other people as well. So no, definitely.
Yeah, doing huge projects like that, especially with like undertaking something like schooling or like a huge career, is like really, really hard to do. One of the things that I did when I did my senior thesis, I was kind of like really deep into the VR scene.
Yeah.
Like in VR chat clubs and raves and stuff like that.
Sick.
Like I've like I ran in that scene a lot, and I played a lot of the big clubs like Shelter. Mass was one of them. I played Tube, which is the one that's kind of like Shelter but in the UK.
Oh, sick.
And like I basically created this kind of interview event series where I would invite like huge artists on, or like relatively huge, and I just kind of there would be an audience of like people who would be there just kind of like hear them talk, and I would ask them questions that I think were really important about, like, you know, how do I get this person to talk about their very unique perspective on art?
Yeah.
And I wasn't like just like grabbing people who I thought were like, you know, oh, this guy's huge, this is gonna be a big deal. Like I would like I had Daedalus on one. I had the Flashbulb on another. These are people that like probably not a lot of people know, but the people who know are like super interested.
Yeah.
Because they know like why they're so unique with their own voices. And hearing the both of them talk was really interesting, and like even beyond just doing it for a school project was very, very enlightening and very insightful. And you kind of notice a throughput, like a through line between how a lot of artists talk about their own work. Like I would listen to a lot of interviews. Like I'd listen to interviews of like Kanye West. I'd watch like One Tricks Point Never interviews. I'd watch like the very few interviews that like Aphex Twin would have. I'd watch interviews, like obviously of the people that I was going to interview, to make sure I wasn't like asking something that could already be like easily findable.
Yeah.
And not because I wanted to be like, oh, I want it to be unique. Like I want there to be a reason for why somebody's talking.
You want to give them a different experience from other people as well. Like that is.
Yeah. And so like the first half of the interview would just be like talking. And then the second half would be playing an album that really speaks to them.
Yeah.
And just like sharing that experience with people, with the people who are attending. And you get this weird feeling where you just heard this person talk about like what really connects them to their art and the world around them. And then you listen to something that really speaks to them and you kind of get it. It kind of clicks in a way, because you're hearing what they just said in the context of the work that they like admire. And that's something that's like really, really profound and really beautiful.
You gain like a strong understanding.
Yeah. It's something that I haven't seen people do, but it felt like it was important to me.
Yeah.
And that's like that's like the big thing about like doing what you want to do, is just like doing what you think is important, whether you think it's important for people to hear it or important for you personally. You just have to do what you, especially when you're putting it out, you just have to you have to ask yourself, is this important for me to have this out in the open? Because there's a lot of songs that I've made that like nobody's ever gonna hear, or like maybe a close friend of mine will hear, but like I'm never going to release it because it's not important to me for other people to hear it. It's not important to me for it to be not even judged, but just perceived. You don't like it, like in the same way that you might have secrets, or you might have like really private thoughts that like you just want to keep among friends. You don't have to share everything.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I think once you realize that, you give yourself a lot of freedom to just kind of step back and just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I think that goes into this like idea of leaks and all that shit, and, you know, artists like not wanting certain work to be released or leaked because it's not what their intention was. It was either not finished, or they didn't want to release it because it wasn't what they wanted their image to represent.
Yeah.
But
leaks generally just like that whole like, at least recently, the whole thing with GTA 6 getting leaked.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really great example, because the people who worked on that game, all of the stuff that they were really excited about kind of just got, like, now everybody knows about it. All of the stuff that the fans were excited about might not turn out that way because it's so early in development.
Yeah.
Even if it looks far along. And it's disappointing for everybody, because everybody's getting a false impression of what it means and what that person stands for, and what that artwork stands for.
You got these little soy boys on Twitter that are like, oh, it looks so shit, and I'm like, yeah, because it's not fucking finished, you moron. Like, shut up. It's so dumb. Anyway, we're on fucking 51 minutes. 51 minutes. Last episode, I was apologizing about how long. I had my guest apologizing how long each section was, but I think we've actually like trumped it. This is like went on so long, but to
listen, I mean, I like just talking about this kind of stuff.
It rocks. It's good. Let's we'll wrap up this section before talking about the choices by we haven't even mentioned anything furry, which I like absolutely love, and it's a first. How would you link what's your like history with furry? And what would you link furry to your music in a sense? I
mean, for me, when we love my MacBook charger.
I love
out of nowhere.
You just gotta you got a fucking Mac. I got a Mac too, you know.
Yeah, no, it's the furry fandom means to me like what charging a MacBook sounds like. For me, like a lot of the furry fandom, it's very kind of surface level for me. I literally, like, growing up, I would one of the earliest dreams that I remember is literally just like running through a field with Sonic, and I'm like, this definitely won't make me be weird or strange when I'm older. You know, and now I'm here.
Oh my god, Liberty. So like, I'll let you continue, but you know, like when people imagine. Oh, do you know when people like fucking imagine when they're like little in the back of a car and you're like looking out the window on the motorway or the highway and like you imagine someone like running along? I used to imagine Sonic running along, dog. Yeah. Like that is literally that. I relate to that. Anyway, continue.
Or even just like those moments where like you're just like sitting at home and like you're 3 years old, and then you just have this thought where you're just like, I'm going to remember this forever, and then you just do. And it's like, what? It's like, and then like you'll remember it, like you're sitting down, you're like 24 years old, and you're sitting at your office job, and you just like remember it, and you're like, what the fuck?
Like long-term memory stuff. Like it's insane to me, like that people have different memory strands as well in terms of like how much they can remember, because some people can't remember like early age memories, but some people can like literally imagine things down to the like minute detail. I would say I'm a little bit more, I don't have exact memories of things from my younger age, so I can't really relate to that as much, but there are some things that I can just go, I won't be able to remember what I eat like that week or something, or remember what I ate later that week, but I'll be able to remember like what jumper I was wearing like 5 months ago on this specific day. Like memory, the way it works is so weird. But yeah, anyway, keep going about furry shit.
Yeah, no, high key relate on that, because I have that little autism guy in my brain, so he's always there.
He's silly, goofy.
He's a little silly, a little goofy. But yeah, I would kind of engage with a lot of I would kind of interact with a lot of the art growing up. And then especially when I was like discovering my sexuality, I like definitely interacted with the art.
Yeah.
But like kind of when I graduated high school, I decided to just go full into it. Because I knew for a long time I wanted to, but I was like afraid of like getting bullied, which like honestly, I would have been a brony. I would have like been doing all this shit if like I just like let myself like things. But I didn't. And so like like being around furries and like kind of like developing myself through like my own sonas and stuff like that, like really helped me kind of be happy with myself.
Yeah.
And be more content about myself. There's definitely been levels to how much I've interacted with the fandom, at least, but the way that I've kind of treated being a furry has been more so being like having, how do I phrase this? Being a part of something, but not have that something be a part of you.
Yeah. It's like
I think it's because it's extremely important to if you like kind of latch onto something forever, you're gonna be disappointed no matter what happens. And with me, with a lot of like what I kind of learned with like, especially with furry and like kind of changing sonas all the time or just like doing whatever, is like I can't like force myself into a specific vibe. So like if I want to be a dog, I'm gonna be a fucking dog. If I want to be a cat, like meow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's all just kind of like going with the flow. And I think like being a furry like really helped me with that. Really helped me kind of like take myself less seriously in some ways and take myself seriously in others.
Yeah,
just
I think
yeah,
I think
that's more or less what it means to me.
I think a lot of people feel that way as well, because that's why I feel like our community is so queer and LGBT, is because it gives people an opportunity to explore that through different means and different kind of ways of representing that. And I feel like exploring an identity or a hobby through like different anthropomorphic animals in different ways of interpreting like art and media, it opens a different way of expressing and kind of finding out your identity for yourself too. And I think it's a really interesting thing when it comes to furries that I think a lot of people can relate to and, you know, understand, I guess.
Yeah, it's taking ownership of yourself.
Yeah,
I think is the big key, because like you can like I tried for a minute to like be that poppy fur, right, and like that ended spectacularly. But like for me, it's just doing what I feel is going to be indicative of my own being, like who I really am. And at the end of the day, that's like all that really matters.
Yeah.
And like when you're interacting with people from whatever community, but even especially like in the furry fandom, it's like, yeah, like if you're just like a standard like fur colored furry femboy fox who just like tweets, ooh, notices your bulge, what's this? And like that's who you are, like that's who you are.
Yeah.
Or like me, where I'm just like this like lion cat hybrid shapeshifter kind of fucking twink. You know, that's like that's me. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know? You just gotta live your life.
Yeah, no,
and maybe like download a few Sonic images on the way, because like Sonic's good and cool.
Yeah, Sonic is epic.
Sonic's my
Sonic's my
sometimes I'll make him my phone
interest.
background. Yeah, he'll be in my phone background, and I'll be like, oh you.
Don't even get me started on Sonic, man, because we're only we're like a fucking hour into this recording. In like,
listen, we could get into a conversation about kinning and that, and we'd be here for like 3 hours.
Crazy, literally. I like kin Ash. I kin fucking Tails, I can like, man, I fucking...
Tails, Miles.
Bro, Miles Power, bro.
Woo! Like,
my
you know
boy,
what I'm
man.
saying?
My
Like,
boy, he's fucking crazy. He's so jepic. He rocks.
my boy.
My boy. No, for the furry stuff, I'll say, it's just like, I think it works in a way that you can explore your identity based on how you interpret furry and how you kind of, I don't know, apply yourself to it. I think, not to sound pretentious, but I mean, for example, the way that I use furry is that I'm like mad into fashion. So I use my character to kind of explore that and get him wearing silly little things all the time. But other people like care about having loads of different characters and, you know, having extensive backgrounds on like their, you know, backstories and all that shit. But compared to me, I use it to explore fashion. I use it to explore my own art form and kind of, I don't know, like different art styles and kind of experimenting with different things. And I use it to, I don't know, engage in anthropomorphic media. For some people, it's surface level. For some people, it's more than that. But it's what you make it. What you make of it makes you, I guess, in a sense. It's hard to explain, but yeah. Damn.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel you 100%.
Yeah. Now, we're on an hour and 1 minute, so we're going to move on to the choices. In the first choice, we're going to talk about the album. I can't believe you're going to be fucking talking for an hour about this. We're going to have to, like, quick fire. But you're, like, super into this, so we're going to be talking about the album for, like, 20 minutes.
I mean, I love this. I love just, like, talking about art with people.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of my favorite
so
things.
So do I. It's 10 to 1 in the morning where I am right now. So I'm not even saying that I'd be thinking. I've had a coffee. I'm fucking living this right now. Let's go. So we'll talk about the album choice, which is The Elephant Man's Bones by Rock Marciano and The Alchemist. So when it came to this album, it's interesting because usually a lot of the records that I chosen for the podcast are like things I wouldn't normally listen to, but I still enjoy. But I mean, I'm already acquainted to music produced by The Alchemist. I fucking love him. I think he's amazing. The record that he did with Freddie Gibbs a couple of years ago, Alfredo.
Yes.
Absolutely
I've been
amazing.
bumping that every day this last week. Like I've gotten on the Alchemist train fairly late, like in the last couple months, but like I'm so glad that I finally got to it. Something to Rap About and Frank Lucas are like that is an incredible back-to-back like thing. But I think especially something about the Elephant Man's Bones really really speaks to me, both because it's so obvious when you're listening to this record that like both people, both The Alchemist and Rock Marciano, are like at the top of their game. Like this is the best that they've ever done. Like whether together or not, these beats kind of like reach this flow state where like The Alchemist just knows how to like drive you forward even if there's like no drums on the beat.
Yeah.
And Rock, just like the way that Rock is able to articulate what they're saying in a flow that might not even sound like a flow. Like some of the songs just sound like he's just stating a fact.
No, yeah.
Like he's just getting right to the point and just throwing it in the middle of a beat. And that kind of confidence and that kind of swagger to just be like, this is what this track stands for. This is what I'm trying to say. Whether or not they're like talking about like some dude that they're like trying to like how they're like trying to sell drugs on the street or some shit, or how they're like rolling like gangsters, he'll just say it. Like he'll just be like, you're gonna catch a hollow point. It's like, damn, okay.
I felt that especially on Think Big, like the final track of the record. I felt it really, really heavily on that because of the lack of percussion on it. And it was just vocals and kind of rapping. And it kind of put a lot of the heavy focus on what was being said. And I think for a lot of the songs in this album, which isn't a bad thing at all, what I'm about to say, I felt like I focused a lot on the beats rather than the actual vocals, but it's weird because I'm usually not that good at like processing. Like it was in one of the podcast episodes I was talked about ages ago with my friend Will. We were talking about, we listened to E by Echo 2K, and I was talking about how I don't listen to lyrics when I like listen to an album. I'll just listen to the beat and I'll just be like, this vibes. But then if I enjoy something and I keep listening to it, then I'll like listen to the meanings of it and stuff. So again, it's interesting how people interpret different things. Usually I have to be like, so why did you choose this album and go this? But again, we're just fully going into it, you know? Let's just keep going. Let's just keep fucking going.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
I mean, like, that I totally feel you on just like listening to vocal music and having the vocals be an instrument rather than something that the instrumentation is playing around. Yeah. I think that's very key, and this album does it exceptionally well. I think this is like super it's a super like simplified way to kind of like put it, but you know those memes where it's just like the picture of like the deagle why did I say the deagle? I'm not talking about a gun, I'm talking about a dog. The beagle
bro.
So it's this image of like
playing too much CS, dog. You've been playing too much CS.
I'm playing way too much CS, dude. But like you'll look at it, like it'll be like these POV images of beagles, and with like a little text box, and these will be like TikToks, and it'll just like have the sound of like it'll just have a song playing, and the dog will be saying the lyrics, but like in gibberish. Like that's like the best way that I can describe that emotion, where like you're connecting with the song, and like sometimes you just like won't be paying attention to words, and it'll just be like, yes, these are syllables and like rhythmic, like following a rhythm, like, and that's what I'm hearing right now. You know what I mean? And like
I thought you were gonna be describing that like meme of like the cat or like a dog, and it like has headphones in and it has like the arrow, and it's like his ass is not listening. Like his ass is not listening right now.
His ass is not listening right now. No, one of my favorite renditions of that meme recently was this image. I'm gonna put this somewhere on the cover art for the thing. Yeah, I'm making a mental note of this. It's the dog like trying to say the lyrics to oh, what is the name of the song? The worst time to like forget the name of the song. So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings by Carolyn Polachek.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, I get a little lonely. Like, and it's just like, but it's like spelled like IGED, like it's like IGED a
It's like the classic like when I met you in the summer.
Yeah, no, it's literally when I met you in the summer. Like, dude, exactly that. But like, I totally literally on every first listen of every album that I listen to that has vocals on it, I'm usually processing it like that. Yeah. And like, I have to usually like really pay attention to like get the lyrical content. Sometimes it's just super easy for me and it flows really, really well. This album was kind of like 50-50 on that, but but even like when I went back and like listened to the lyrics, it's like, even if it's like this kind of like standard kind of like gangster rap kind of thing where they're just talking about like rolling up on some dude and like shooting him, they Rock just says it in this way that's just like so to the point. And like, this is all I need to say. Like, I don't need to say anything else than this. I am being as eloquent as possible. If you can't understand what I'm saying, then you need to think harder. And it's like, damn, like damn, dude.
It's like,
and especially like the Alchemist really channels that as well. The beats are just so simple. Oh god,
the beats are so good. I mean, recently I've been getting back into West Side Gun and like Mac Homie in like Lord Apex and like stuff that is like chopped up or like dark kind of beats, like the piano kind of riffs on like Mac Homie beats like kind of come to mind. But it's like, I don't know, I think some of the highlights for me were I think my favorite track was either Quantum Leap, which I think the beat was super super nice in it, or the album title song. which was like is gorgeous. I mean, like I'm like such a sucker for piano beats and like piano samples. I love piano jazz as well. Anything R&B or blues that's like sampled in, or jazz that's like sampled in a rap song, I will just like fucking adore. So I love the title song as well. But yeah.
Yeah, no, the title song is really great. The ones that I really connected with, the one that really like puts the album into perspective, Rubber Hand Grip. Like it just opens with that. Such a perfect opener because it gives you exactly like what you need to expect from this record. The other tracks that I really like are Quantum Leap, Trillion Cut. Trillion Cut is like definitely in my like top 5 for the album, but it's also mainly for like the one line that says "Step on the product, electronic slide. We could never share a common bond." I heard that and I was like, "This is the most clever wordplay I've ever heard." Like no, like this is an undefeated bar. Like
and like Boldy James's flow on it is also like so it just works. I think everything. I think Rock's shit, Alchemist beats, in like all the features like understand what the feeling of the album is, and it's just like I don't know. It just all works together, and it's just so nice.
Yeah, the features especially feel very purposeful. Zip Guns especially, like Knowledge the Pirate, was such a perfect pick. The way, like the delivery of his lines are just like,
yeah. There's
this one section where he just repeats a line and just like lets the beat play for like a whole bar, and then just like says the line again and then gets back into it. It's that kind of flow state that they're like that everybody on this album is getting in, that just like God, like every time I like talk about records like this, like this record or like Mad Villainy, I just like, the more I talk about it, the more I just like need to listen to it. Yeah. Like, and it like the way like and especially like with this album, to me, like Mad Villainy is a very like lighthearted, fun record. This is like kind of its counterpart to me. The Elephant Man's Bones feels like very kind of like we're very serious about this shit. While I was like, MF Doom is like kind of like MF Doom and Madlib just like they make a song just like about just like smoking weed, and it's like with the best flow you've ever heard in your life, and you're like, God damn, like I haven't smoked weed in like 2 years, but like every single fucking time I hear that song, I'm like, God, I just want to smoke up right now. Like, I just want to, I want a blunt. I want a blunt right now, dude. Like,
it's like Madlib beats as well. Like fucking Madlib with like Freddie Gibbs with Pinata. It's just like, it's just every shit is so they just get good. On it. It's just like, it's so I listen good. Like, well, a lot of like Madlib and MF Doom instrumentals is like, I mean, I use an MF Doom instrumental for the intro for the podcast, like, because it's just like White Willowbark. I just love his stuff so much. And I would say
yes,
there was like a TikTok trend that must have been, I think it's just been recent, where it's like albums that kind of expanded your music taste. And one of mine that I would choose was MF Doom's Special Herbs, but like just the entire box set of volumes like 1 to 8, like that, fully like listening to his beats. I think I definitely went through the pipeline of, I mean, it's not really a pipeline, but it's like a thing of like, I mean, when I was 16, I was like obsessed with lo-fi hip hop. And then I realized like when I got really into rap, I was like, whoa, like people have like lo-fi beats and like really nicely produced like heavy sampled chopping up stuff, like Ye and Jay Dilla and Doom and, you know, people like that. I was like, oh wait, there's like, I can have two of these things together. I can have my enjoyment of rap and my enjoyment of like lo-fi hip hop like brought together in like, it was just nice to go from that, you know. Well, yeah. Holy shit, we're on like an hour and 15. I want to keep talking about shit. When you go for it. I'll go through, you know, what else can I say about the album? Liquid Coke was like super dark. Like that definitely reminded me of like Conway the Machine, West Side Gun lyrics, and also the sound of it overall. Like in kind of some of the tracks on like Freddie Gibbs's Alchemist, what comes to mind? What is it called? I'll have to type Alfredo.
For me, a lot of the songs on that project, God is Perfect is like a really good example of that. Frank Lucas is a really good example of that. I think it was, yeah, is Skinny Shug. That one is like really, really, really to the point with that feeling. Both records for me just like feel very similar in that respect. Like I've just been listening to both of those like front to back, like like with each other like all the time. The last like couple weeks, it's just like they're so good. They're so good.
Babies and Fools, like the sample on Babies and Fools is like the beat is so good, but it's just all amazing. I mean, we're talking more about Alfredo now, but yeah, Frank Lucas is what I was thinking about. I've just went like kind of just skimmed through that. I was like trying to find which one I was thinking about, but like the beat on Frank Lucas reminds me of how Liquid Coke sounds. Like on Frank Lucas,
it's exactly so good. Yeah. Just the like the little horn that comes in is like it's such a smart chop.
Yeah.
Like when you really like listen, like especially like as a producer, you hear that kind of shit and you know that they just like heard those like 2 seconds and they were like, no, this is it. Like I don't even have to like do anything else. Like this is like I'm just gonna repeat this and that's the beat.
But I feel like at the same
time, shit, like
at the same time, the instrumentation is like so expansive on this album. I mean, for example, in Zigzag Zig, like there's piano and there's like a little bit of saxophone as well. If you like listen, that's just like, it's just so interesting how everything's layered and it just feels like everything's thought about and it's just so, I just love it. It's a really fucking good record. And I think I really like the cover as well. The cover's really, I don't know why, it's like weirdly nostalgic to me. I don't fucking know why. It's like
it looks
it's just
like toys.
Yeah, it's like that. Like, it's like that, and then like the
kind of feel.
In the way that it's shot, it like feels like an early 2000s. Like I don't know. There was this like weird book that used to be a thing. I don't know. It might be just a thing in the UK called like I Spy, and it was like this book where you have to find specific things.
No,
like
we have the same thing over here in the States.
Yeah, and it just looks like that. Like you have to find a certain object in like a bunch of objects. I think that's why I'm getting nostalgic for it.
I used to play like those games on PC like a lot.
Oh,
like I had like my dad had like one of those like G4 IMAX or like the G5. I forget what it was called, but like those like Y2K looking ass Macs. I would like like I just like my dad would just like buy those games for me. Just be like, hey, like here's some games. And I'd like play that shit and just be like, okay, where's the thimble? I need to find the thimble. Like it's
one of my first games that I had. I had a family computer as well. We used to have this will mean absolutely nothing to you, but my family used to have when I was like 5 or 6 when we used to have the family computer. We had like Tesco dial-up, which is like a UK person will like listen to that and like fucking laugh because that is literally like really fucking cheap ass like dial up, and that's what it used to be back in the day. Like I think Tesco's owned by Walmart. Like Tesco's a supermarket in the UK, so basically imagine having Walmart dial up. That's basically what it was, and it's just insane.
Sounds awful. It sounds awful,
literally, but it's insane that's even a concept to begin with. But yeah, I used to have dial up obviously for the computer. In one of my first games I played, and it was like Sonic 3D. But it's just called Sonic 3D on PC, but I think it's like the PC version of Sonic 3D Blast. I think that's what it was. But like the one that's like isometric and 3D, it's like crazy. But I played the shit out of that game, and also played the shit out of this game called like Sheep, that was like also released on PS1. It was a weird game, and then I got addicted to it genuinely, and then my mum pretended that it went missing, and then like I asked her like 10 years later when I was like 15, and she was like, oh no, we gave it away, or we put it in the bin because you just played it too much. So there you go. And then I also almost this is fuck's sake, so I also almost we'll round off this album talk with this anecdote I have about a fucking computer. Let's go. So when I was, again, I must have been like really young, I downloaded it was this again the family computer, the Windows XP ass, like literally shit. I downloaded like a Garfield screensaver, and it was from like the Garfield live action film. Oh my god! Right, it's from the Garfield live action film, and it was the scene where Garfield like slides down the banister on like a food tray, and it rocked, and I downloaded it, and it looked super cool on the computer, and I was like, 5 or 6, and I was like, this rocks. And then like the computer got a virus, and I like started getting really upset because I was like, why has it got a virus? And then my dad was like, so it turns out it's this like, who's downloaded this Garfield screensaver because it's a Trojan.
Oh my lord.
I was like, what is that? What is a Trojan? And then my dad was like, you almost killed the computer by downloading a Garfield screensaver, Matthew. Do not download anything off the internet ever again. And
baby's first virus.
Baby's first virus, man.
We always have one.
It's crazy. Anyway, we're at an hour and 20, so we're going to go on to talk about the final thing, which is going to be the film, which is Spirited Away, directed by Hayao Miyazaki.
So for me, for this movie, it was one of the first movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Really? Okay.
Like I had it on VHS, and I like remember watching it on like my CRT, like growing up, and like my dad got it for me. The thing that I kind of understand the story. There's things about it that like definitely still confuse me to this day because I'm like, I don't know how this makes sense. Like the whole twist at the end of like the guy actually being the river. That did not make sense to me until very recently. I just like didn't get it at all. But the thing that I really loved about that movie is that stylistically different locations just like felt so different, and it felt like a mashup between so many different kind of things. And the way that like moments in that film would kind of be broken up almost like slice of life episodes in an anime series, and definitely like not like exactly that way, but like the way that you move from like Sen trying to get a job to like, okay, well now this guy comes in and is just like giving out like all this gold. Like you'll have these moments that just like feel kind of disjointed, but like the way that they all kind of tie into each other despite like all of these thematic and like visual differences between locations, or even with the music, really just kind of like that kind of left field kind of stuff like really stuck with me throughout the years.
I think it's a gorgeous film. This film I vividly remember was the like first introduction to anime that I had. And it's weird because my sister, it's like a tradition in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in the US with like TV, but a lot of like UK channels broadcast like a fuck ton of films during the Christmas period. And it's like even if they're not like Christmassy or whatever, it's just like a lot of TV channels that just like broadcast loads of Christmas films because it's obviously a lot of time where families will like sit down and spend time together and stuff like that and watch stuff. And I remember one time I was at my grandma's house and my sister was like, can we watch this Spirited Away film that's on the TV? And obviously I was like, I think I must have been like 9 or something, and I was like, yeah, sure, watch it. And then I watched it, and I remember not even enjoying it that much. But then my sister had a friend who was like obsessed with anime at the time. My sister's like a few years older than me, and it's just so interesting that was my introduction to anime. And then I watched Totoro, just on my own, out of my own accord.
Oh yes.
And then I got properly into anime when I was like 12, 13. And then my sister like stopped liking anime. She didn't even get an anime at all. I think she watched like Totoro and Spirited Away, and now she just doesn't really understand any anime stuff. Like, it's not her personality at all, but it was massive for me, and it's really interesting how that kind of worked out. And when it comes to Spirited Away, I hadn't seen it for so long until just today when I rewatched it for the podcast, and it's definitely held up. Like, I really, really love it a lot. I don't think it's my favorite Ghibli, but it's still really good.
Yeah, it's just such a unique film. I really like, other than other Miyazaki films, and even then that's a stretch. Like I really haven't seen anything like it. It just has such a specific feel to it that I haven't seen anybody else really encapsulate. And it's just it's one of those pieces of work that genuinely feels like totally unique. It takes these things that aren't even necessarily that like novel or new, but it puts it into this context that's so different because of the things that it's including.
Yeah.
Because of the way that it's presenting characters, because of the way that it's presenting narrative.
And I think it's a thing,
and I find that to be like a huge through line between like really, really unique pieces of art is just being able to create an environment that feels unique out of parts that are like so familiar.
And I think it's a story that can only be told by Ghibli. It feels like a kind of story that could only be done successfully by Ghibli. And I think it's
like this very
amazing.
Yeah, it's that very childlike kind of feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it in dub, and I have this weird connection with Ghibli films where I don't know if it's a nostalgia factor or just the way I've like watched them, is I always prefer watching Ghibli films in dub, but everything else anime based, I will always watch like subtitle. Like my favorite show of all time, Evangelion, like I'm like watch it in subtitles, like all of it.
I feel exactly the same way. I will like I'll only watch Ghibli films. Yeah, Ghibli films specifically as a dub, because that's just like it is the nostalgia factor for me. Like I grew up just like watching the dub, and like like I'm sure that the voice acting in the JP version is probably better, but like it's like that familiarity to me of just like this is what it takes me back to that place of just like childlike wonder.
That is exactly what Ghibli films are meant to do. That's what everyone always says. It's like Ghibli films are meant to feel cozy, and to me, having memories of my childhood, of just being able to watch films and then like, you know, go to school when I'm like 9 or 10 and just fucking color in shit and then go home is like, why can't life be like that now, dog? Why have I gotta think about rent?
No, exactly.
I would think about rent in post-grad life, but
I don't want to pay taxes. I simply want to be baby.
Yeah.
Like
it's but like speaking of the voice actors, I feel like now watching it from an old age when I've watched more films and I'm more aware of things, a lot of the voice actors, obviously the voice of Sen or Shihiro is Lilo from Lilo and Stitch, and I like didn't realize like why do I recognize the voice, and I was like, oh shit.
Wait, really? I did not know that.
I'm telling you, if you rewatch it and you think of Lilo and Stitch, you'll get what I mean. Because I was like, I recognize that voice, and I was like, oh shit, it's Lilo from Lilo and Stitch.
This is a whole new dimension for me right now.
And then there's the you know the part where she's trying to get bathhouse tokens, and the guy, I'd forgot the name of what they call them, like the kind of occupation
the black
he has.
blob guy.
No. It was it's just a human frog guy, but he's given away the bath.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's given away the bath tokens, and then he won't give any away to Shihiro. The guy who voices him, he's like, what do you want? That's the guy who voices Squidward.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, because I was like, that sounds like Squidward, and then I googled it, and I was like, yeah, it's the guy who voices Squidward.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Those are the only two that like stood out at me though, and then also the fact that I'm saying guy that voices Squidward and guy that voices Lilo is gonna piss some people off, but like I'm not like a film buff that knows things. Like I know Tom Kenny voices SpongeBob, but I don't know the guy who voices Squidward. I don't know his name. So
I need somebody to like make an edit of that movie now, where like the characters are replaced with like what they're best known.
Roger Bumpass, that's what he's called. That's a Squidward voice actor. It's crazy.
Roger.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Also, did you used to hold your breath on the bridge to see if you could make it across, or is that just a weird thing that I did when I was like little and I watched this film? You know, when she's like holding her breath?
No, I can't say that I have, but that's so sick. That's so awesome.
And what also
the way that you could just get immersed in that.
And what also I realized is
Wow.
that I always found the soap token stuff, that stuff, or the bathhouse tokens, like when the water runs, like so satisfying. Like just the way it looks and sounds, and I think Ghibli films always feel that way in terms of it's always the visuals, like they're absolutely gorgeous. And also as a side point, also on the bridge, you can see No Face on the bridge, but this is like before he's introduced like fully, you know, when Shihiro sees him on the bridge and goes like, "Are you okay?" And he's the only one on the bridge. When she's originally going across the bridge with Haku and she's trying to like hold her breath, you can see No Face on the bridge then, but like just in the background. So that's something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, Ghibli films always look gorgeous. One thing that comes to mind for this film especially is the flowers, like the flowers in the film, and just like,
Oh, yes.
it's just amazing. Like
They're
the
just so
scene of
vibrant.
flowers.
And
Yeah.
it, just like the landscapes in general. One of the things that really stuck out to me was like how the water looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're like using the train, it's just it like that light blue just like is so striking.
And I think as well, when the scene where they in the bathhouse where they pull out all of the kind of trash in like rubbish from the river spirit, there's just like there's like, it just looks like gunk when it's first pulled out, but then there's a shot where you can see it all laid out on the floor, and it's like a full-on painting of like trash, like really detailed. And I feel like with Ghibli films, the backgrounds are always so vibrant. There's always things going on with them. There's always so much detail put into like an intricacy in each shot, and it's just so good. Like I love it so much.
It's so, yeah, the it's very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And like very like you feel like every shot and every angle is like it's not just there because like, oh, we need a different perspective to like fulfill this rule of like can't have the view on like one specific area so that we bore the viewer or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're doing that, but they're doing it in a way that like every single shot just feels like it's meant to be there.
Yeah, that's when you know a film has succeeded, when it feels like every single direction and every single iteration of elements in a film, you feel like they have a purpose, because then you know it's worked. And it's just so good.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, the soundtrack on this thing bangs. Like I love the soundtrack so much. Yeah,
that theme just like every time I hear it, it takes me back.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that specific, it's that very specific feeling, like what we were talking about earlier. It's just.
But I feel like
something about it.
I feel like a lot of Ghibli soundtracks give that off. I think it's Joe Hisaishi. I think that's how you pronounce it. His soundtracks for Ghibli films just take you. It transport you to where the certain thing is. I mean, or like where they're set, or the environments, and it's just really immersive. And I think my friend Cameron like used to say this thing that was like, a soundtrack makes a film, and I used to disagree with him. I used to be like, that's such bullshit, but I completely agree with him now. I feel like a soundtrack, or a good soundtrack for a film, is like adamant on whether I'm gonna like absolutely adore the film or not. And I think with Ghibli films, it never fails. And I think it's just, I just don't know, it's so good. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Damn. Well, we're on like an hour and 35. Is there anything else you want to say about Spirited Away? Because
not really. I think it's just it's one of those films that just it's hard to put into words how unique it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Just it feels like a mashup of like so many different things.
It's definitely a one of a kind thing.
Reason.
It's a one of a kind film, and I think that's why it stands out for so many people. I mean, the pretentious film reviewing app that I use, Letterboxd, like it's in like a top 10 highest rated films of all time on Letterboxd, which is like a massive feat because everyone's so like critical and pretentious on that fucking app. So like to be like high rated on that is like crazy, but it's there for a reason. It's definitely deserved. So yeah. Whew, well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I did not expect if I can talk this long as well. Like I literally loved it so much. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun talking to you about just like art. Like I don't know. It's a talking philosophically about like a lot of at least my own approach to art and how I see other pieces of art and how I relate it to the world around me. It's just like I love talking about that, and I love hearing what other people have to say about their own lived experience with it. So it was really awesome to have the chance to talk to you.
Plug your shit right now.
Yeah. So I have check out my SoundCloud. Check out my Spotify page. You could find me basically everywhere as Nanode or Nanode Music. But I just try to at least put something out. You know, I do what feels right, and I do and generally just like make what I feel like. What I feel like is it really speaks to me and what really gets me motivated, and I just put it out in the hopes that other people who are looking for that kind of feeling, like maybe find it and get a little enjoyment out of it.
100%.
So if you get any enjoyment out of anything that I make, just I appreciate you listening. But either way, I'm glad that it can resonate with you.
No,
you know
definitely check out this shit. I'm not just saying it because they're on the podcast. I really enjoy this stuff personally because I just love that kind of music. But like literally, I'm so happy that I was able to get you on. I feel like we vibe so much in terms of what we discuss and how we discuss things. All of Nanode's shit will be in the description, so all the links will be in the description of the YouTube version. But if not, obviously they've said what their ats are and all that stuff. If you want to follow me on Twitter, as always, it's at MattyFeelsRuff, MattyFeelsRuff. I've actually tweeted. I mean, my tweets either range from like talking about podcast stuff to like, I've just put this tweet out where this cat is holding up a sign that says "I love boobies," and I've put this cat kind of be like me. So I mean, so sometimes my tweets.
This is the correct way to use Twitter.
Yeah,
this is objectively the right way to use Twitter.
If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, my Letterboxd will also be in the description. And also, I'm still open for people to come on the podcast. I've had quite a few responses, but I'm going to just keep it open and see if I have anyone else. So there'll be a link for that in the description if you want to come on the podcast and talk about your passions and shit and furry stuff. It's there. And yeah, I think that's basically it. If you have anything else to say, we're done. So
just be a dog.
Yeah, be a dog. That's all you need. That's all you need for happiness.
That's all I need to say.
It's truly a serotonin generator. Thank you very much, guys, for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.